Hello world, welcome back. And actually, this is the end of the tutorial. But before we end everything, we're going to talk about something that is actually very important, which is exporting. So, we've created a game. How do we export it? Good question, actually. Very good question. Uh, you can export it uh to Windows, Linux, Mac OS, and Android, and so on. But most importantly, you can export it for the web so that you can get some file that's probably going to include uh, the HTML file so that you can run in almost any browser. And if you are making an export in Godot, that's the most common exports that you are going to need, but you are going to go over the exports in general. Now we can see that we can okay, sorry, to get to the export dialog, uh, click on this project, and you're going to click on export over here, and you can see these platforms that we have Android, iOS, Linux, macOS, web, and desktop, Windows desktop. And before we go over them, let's go under the project setting, and we want to discuss some things over here. First of all, we have this configuration file. This is where you set the name of your game. Before you export it, you must set it to the correct name. You can set the icon over here. You can change the icon to your game icon. You can set the fashion and the description of your game. And also, when we run the game, what is the first thing that is going to run? So that is the main scene. So you can set the main scene over here. Obviously, in our game, we want it to be the menu scene. And also, we have this boot splash, and this boot splash is for when the game is loading. Obviously, when the game is loading, it's going to be showing some Godot. Okay, seriously, Godot is going to be showing some Godot image, and we don't want that. So you can set the custom image over here, um, and you can set to maybe show the Godot image or any image at all over here. But let's just leave it at that because this is a Godot tutorial, and we are actually proud of Godot, and we want everyone to know that we create our game using the Godot engine. And some other things is the window. We are going to ensure that the viewport height and the viewport width are correct, and you can set the initial position. For example, let's say you are exporting for Windows, and you can ensure that maybe the player can yeah, whoever is playing your game can resize it or not. I don't think this is going to work on Android or maybe iPhone, but let's say on Mac OS X or Linux or Windows, this is if you don't want them to be able to scale up or scale down your game, which is important in some case but not in ours. So you want to set the mode to canvas item, because I think I've go over this in the previous tutorial. If you don't, when whoever is playing your game scale up the window, they are not going everything in your game are not going to scale up or scale down accordingly. So which is not actually what you want. You don't want that. So you can set the uh, the environment. This default clear color is um if I'm right, I think this is, for example, let's say you are loading something and you there is some maybe transition, or let's say there's no noise in your scene, and there's going to be a background. So I think that this default clear color over here. You can change it if you want, but I think that's all. We've talked about the texture. You can change the rendering over here. We are using compatibility, but let's say you want some other rendering, you can change it over here. And that's it uh, for the project setting. Now let us go over the export. I'm going to talk about the web and the windows actually, and this should hopefully give you a head start on how things actually work in Godot in general. Okay, first of all, let us go over the window. Okay, actually, I'm getting this error, and I'll tell you why I'm getting the error very soon. That's because when you are just exporting, you need to download uh, an export template. So right now there is a Godot 4.4.1 export template that I need to download, and this is where I'm going to download it, and it might take a while. So okay, I'm having a little bit of issues with downloading the export package. So I'm using this Godot version of this Godot 4.4, and I already have the export template. So whenever you saw any errors that is shown over here that you need to download something, just go ahead and download it. So if you are just getting into this export window, we have this preset. So this is where you are going to be choosing what platform you want to export to. So you can already see I've explained all of this. We have Android, iOS, Linux, Mac OS, web, and Windows desktop. Let's say you want to port to maybe consoles or PS. Yeah, they basically mean the same thing, but there are extra processes if you want to port your games to other platforms that are not displayed here. So right now we can let's say you want to export to Android, you can just click on Android. And seriously, if you are exporting to Android, there are a lot of errors that you are going to come across with. Most of my export is actually for the web or for the Windows, and this is the two that I'm going to go about. If you wanted to port to iOS, there are also some additional stuff that you need, like the App Store Team ID that you probably needed. And for now, I'll just click the web. This is uh one of the major platform that you probably want to release your game. And over here we have this texture compression. You can choose whether you want this texture compression to be the VRAM is actually the video RAM, but there is a little bit technical details to it. But for most of the time, if you leave it as desktop, everything is going to fine, and it can also work on some good Android devices since it's for the web. But if you want it specifically for the mobile, you can just click on for mobile over here. But for most of the time, I just put it on for desktop. And again, don't forget, if you saw any errors, to just download anything, or just click on it and just download it. Or or if the error is wanting you to enable something, you can just enable it. So for now, I'll just leave it on for desktop. Yeah, I think this is the air tag. If I'm right, I haven't checked it before, but if I'm right, this should be the head tag. And we have this export icon. You probably want to turn it on. And obviously that's it for the export web. We have these tabs like resources, patches, features, encryption, and script. But actually, you can stay away from all of this, because if you don't know what you are changing, please and please do not change anything, so that when you export the game, you actually get what you want. So now I can just click on this export project, and I can export it. But again, when you are exporting, one of the best practice is to create a separate folder. Web, I can call it web export if I like. I can call it some other things, any name that makes sense to you. And over here, I actually like to just rename my file to index.html, because I want to upload it to the web, and the web is going to be requiring me, my file to have this index.html. Now I can click on save, but before I hit on save, you want to disable this export with debug, and hit on save. And now we've successfully have our web export. We are going to test it on the web, but for now, I want to go over something quickly. If you've exported your game to the web, you should see this remote deploy available. And when you click on it, it's actually going to be running what you have for the web. Okay, and now we already saw that our game is successfully uh deployed to the web. Now we can actually export this to the web, and we are successfully going to get something that resembles this very very well. So now I can hit on play to test if everything is working, and yeah, everything is working perfectly. This is actually very 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 nice. Everything is working perfectly. I can shoot on enemies. Let me test. Yep. If you don't like the feel of the game, you can even add maybe change the bullet speed or stuff like that. Okay, actually we haven't talked about this ice before, but we are not going to talk about it anymore. You can easily just make a little bit of research on how to use how to save data in Godot so that you can add this ice cup feature. But now we've talked about the web export, and now we are going to talk about the second export that I I used to use, which is the desktop export. If I'm going to export my game for the desktop platform, this export console wrapper, you can leave it at no or you can leave it at debug only. But I actually just love debug and release, but it's just a matter of preferences. This PCK, actually when you export your game, is going to be creating more than one exe file. There will be one exe file and there will be some .pck file, but when you enable this embed pck, we are going to get just one file, which is our .exe file. And here you can enable the Windows architecture. For example, I can I can have two versions of the game, one that work compatibly with 32-bit window and the one that work compatibly with 64-bit windows. But I just love to leave it as 64-bit. I think this works for most of the desktop. And here you can provide application data to your app, like the icon, the console wrapper icon, the file version name, the product version, the company name, product name, the description, the copyright, and so on. You can actually provide over here. And just like the web export, we have the resource, patches, and features, encryption, and scripts. But you can just leave all of this as it is. Now I can hit on export. Since this is just a window export, there's no need to put it on a separate folder. And don't forget, if this is enabled, you have to disable it. So exit on save, and you can actually ignore this all this warning. Now if you go to our file, everything should work perfectly, but let's test it. Okay, here we are, and we already saw that we have this the defender and the defender console. But again, if you launch it through this, you're just going to get an additional console where all errors and warnings might be logged. But again, most of the time, this is what the people are going to be launching. And we already saw this. We have all the features that we have enabled, like they should be able to resize the window and so on. We should have this button, all the settings that we enabled in the application settings, and now it should work perfectly. And here it is. Okay, and that's it for the tutorial. I'm very grateful you make it to this so far. What I actually want to do is to actually try to make a game like this on your own, and you can use this to create many different kind of games. You're going to be learning those that are used for some certain things in Godot as you work on more games and more games. So my advice for you to is to actually start making a new game right now. It can be like this game, or it can be a game that that we've already talked about most of the nodes you're going to be using for most of your games, but we've not talked about a major some major nodes, because this is a beginner tutorial. So you can make very simple games right now. So go ahead and make them, and you'll be learning a lot from doing so. Thank you. I'm very grateful you made it so far, and I'll see you in some future tutorials, maybe. Yeah, future tutorials. Bye.